Not a whole lot to discuss on this particular item, just that the main budget is set by ordinance. We've got our normal withholdings, books, periodical, education and training. There is a little change on education and training. There is an increase to that item to include interested parties to the IML conference coming up. Let's see here. So there's not a whole lot on this budget. However, I just want to go ahead and open this up for comments at this point.
Can you explain what the IML conference is for?
Absolutely. This is the Illinois Municipal League. So this is a training event that discusses different issues going on in Illinois and also presents resources that are available, and it's very helpful in general. I receive the newsletter once a month, and there's always a nice tidbit in there. So it's a good resource for City Council. And Tom, would you like to discuss it? I think you've been before. I've never been to it.
Yes, I've gone numerous times in the past. In fact, most of the council has gone, and it's an absolutely great time to learn about all kinds of different events that the Illinois Municipal League puts on, all their workshops that they have. And when I first came on, I saw a thing come through for IML, and I got a hold of Debbie right away and the mayor, and all of a sudden there's no funds in IML. And it really surprised me because I thought, especially in this year, where we've got new alder people and stuff, that it would have been advantageous to go in. I realize there's some hotel costs, some of that kind of stuff, but there are some great seminars involved in it.
Mr. Chair?
Madam Mayor?
Yeah, I agree. There are some great things. I just, looking back over the last several years, there wasn't council members that really had an interest in going. That's how that dwindled. Doesn't mean it has to stay that way. But my question to you would be, you're raising that back up for next year's budget, so what does that mean for the IML conference that comes in the next 2 weeks?
That's currently not budgeted in 2023.
Alderwoman Sellers?
Thank you. Just wanted to know, what was the education and training back in 2023 that was $3,368?
That was the boardsmanship class we had with Nancy Sylvester.
It was,
You can,
sorry, what was it?
The boardsmanship class that we had with Nancy Sylvester when she came and discussed Robert's Rules of Order and discussed the different roles of the board.
So that whole thing was $3,000?
Approximately, yes.
Oh, wow.
If I may.
the Alderman Clem.
Before when we funded IML, what kind of dollars and cents were we talking at that point? I mean, how far back does it go that people stop going? I guess that's my question.
I'd have to defer to someone who's been here a little longer. Michelle, can you field that question?
It has been quite a while, because you can see from this budget that nothing's, happened since before '21. Because if a person from the council did attend IML, it would be in this line item. So you can see there has not been any education in '21 or '22.
There,
I've been going for 6 years, and I don't think I've ever had any council member that's attended with me.
Oh,
I don't know, did you one time maybe, Tom?
no, one of the things that didn't necessarily show up for me was the fact that we'd always go in and either stay at our daughters and sons, so there was nothing as far as hotel rooms, that kind of stuff, But if nobody's interested in doing it, that's another item, But it surprises me, because I know almost every year that I was on council that we went or somebody went. But just a
Well,
discussion.
just because we budget it doesn't mean we have to spend it. However, I would agree that IML is a good investment in understanding what's going on within the state of Illinois and having an opportunity to learn and ask questions. And I believe that's always an advantage. So,
any other questions? Comments? City manager, floor is yours.
Okay, if there's nothing else on this, on the council budget, we'll move on to commissions. So let's see what we got here. Okay. There, I've got it up there for you. So, again, we've got not a whole lot's changed on this one. We do have some upcoming things to be thinking about. The commissioner stipends are set by ordinance, as everybody's probably aware. And the other item, education and training, that particular one is up due to the fact that we're going to be taking on 9 new firemen, and this is budgeted funds to make sure that they're properly trained. So we're getting a safety grant that's going to pay for the majority of the costs associated with these additional new firemen. However, we still have to budget some money for their training and their gear and some ancillary costs. So that's what that item is. And that's pretty much
Alderwoman
Mm-hmm.
everything on
Sellers?
commissions.
Yep.
We have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, I have a question. With the commission's stipends, is that what we voted on last week? What is this, the 4,300? Or is that with the grant, some of that grant money that we had and talked about stipends?
This pays for liquor commission members, so 4 of them, so $75 a year. And Board of Fire and Police, they have 4 members at $700 a year, and 1 member, the chairperson, gets $1,200 a year. So that's what that budget is.
Good question. Anything else?
Okay, if no other questions, we'll move to the next. So this is the finance budget. Just keynoting a few things here. We've had some increases on the health insurance. That's because some of our staff have aged out of their parents' insurance policy and now go on to the city. So there's that, as well as we've had, let's see here. So that's the insurance change. We've also got $5,200 in education and training. That is for the CPFD training, so Certified Public Finance Officer training. And item 6540, other technical services, that's $5,000 in accounting, consulting, and policy assistance. And then the last item, machinery and equipment, that's a standing desk for one of the staff in the finance department.
One more question.
Sure.
I have another question.
Yep.
Again, the non-bargaining, what is that? What does that, you help me understand what that means?
So the non-bargaining staff would be most everybody in the finance department, and there is a change in payroll there. Michelle, do you want to just touch on that real quick?
Well, so the city is comprised of 3 bargaining units, and then those staff that are not in a bargaining unit are called non-bargaining. So all of my staff that is here in the finance department are non-bargaining. So if I had any bargaining staff, they would be listed like fire or police or AFSCME. So all of my staff are non-bargaining.
Okay, one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people work in that's your staff?
The HR director is in my office. The city accountant that does payroll and accounts payable, accounts receivable. Then I have my deputy finance director. He does all the journal entries, bank statements, a lot of the accounting work. I also am kind of a day-to-day accounting worker as well. So I'm not just purely administrative. I'm taking deposits to the bank. I'm doing things like that. I also oversee the water sewer billing area, and there is a manager in the billing area and 3 staff, 3.5 staff.
So you're saying 3.5 plus the HR director, the city account, so you're saying 5, 6, 7?
I need to clarify though too. This is only for the finance department up here.
Right, okay.
The water staff is classified under the water budget.
Oh, okay.
So this budget here is for me and 2 staff. The HR department has their own budget. She's a department of 1. She has her own budget. But this covers 3 people. However, our wages are divided also with water and sewer, since a lot of our job is with water sewer as well. We do payroll for water sewer, we do journal entries for water sewer. So this is a portion of our wage,
For 3 people?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any more questions on the finance budget? Okay. All right, then we'll move on to forestry. Yeah, there we go. So, not a whole lot of changes in forestry. However, we're having a $6,000 contracted equipment repair and maintenance. We've got some upcoming maintenance required on the stump grinder and the wood chipper. So that's been budgeted for this year, over and above last year. And then tree assistance. Generally, we've been spending between $100,000 and a little over $100,000 on tree assistance. When we say tree assistance, that's basically the money that we budget for large tree removals that are beyond the city staff's ability to safely take down. So one of those trees is over at Sholem Park. We're going to have that one removed here shortly, but that's the type of work. So we go out for bid in the spring, and then we identify, say, anywhere between 30 and 50 dead and dangerous trees that are too big for us to remove ourselves. We go out for bid, the bids come back, and then the low bidder gets the contract and then would go through and remove those trees. And I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but I think we've probably removed somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 or 500 large dead and dangerous trees since 2020. So it's one thing also with these trees, when they get large and older like that, they drop large limbs, they account for a lot of overtime, and we're actually saving money long term because we won't have folks coming out in the middle of the night to deal with some of these dead and dangerous trees as we get closer to getting them all removed. So that's what that is. And then we have a machinery and equipment budget of $2,000. So that's for additional chainsaws and that kind of thing. So at this time, do you have any questions on the forestry budget?
Ms. Sellers.
It's me again.
Sure.
Anyway, I just want to ask the question, is this $130,000 you're saying, the tree assistant, is it for the trees that we talked about earlier that, what is it? Community development. Talked about with the pink X's on it that were coming down. Is this some of that money or no?
Yeah, so the ones with the pink X's, so I can't speak specifically because we've got so many projects going on. Adams Avenue, if you're talking about trees with pink X's on Adams.
No, I'm talking throughout the city.
Throughout the city, okay.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes, those would be the contract out list or tree assistance.
Is this some of this money?
That's this money, yes.
Okay, so when community development brought it to us earlier this year, this is the budget that we were budgeting from.
I'm not familiar. Wayne, do you know?
When you, I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, when you brought telling us how many trees, and we took a vote on getting these tree companies to come in.
That was the 2023 total budget line. The budget line for that was $100,000. If you look 2 columns to the left,
Yeah, it's 2024, right.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is this 130 is part of that? Is that
No,
oh,
that's
okay.
for next year.
Oh, okay.
What we're, Alderman Sellers, we're planning to do a little bit more than we did this year. That's why the budget.
okay.
That's why the
Okay.
item's a little bit higher.
Okay.
So, okay. Any question on the forestry budget?
If I could, please.
Yes, Alderman Shadle.
The AFSMI portion of this, is that budgeted as if we were going to be full staff in that department? Even though
Yes.
we may not be yet?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. See that?
Any other questions? Yes.
One more.
One more. Alderman Sellers.
When you say full staff, how many workers are we looking at to do forestry? Right now, we only have one or two, or what?
Yeah, so we have 2 dedicated, and we have 1 that we pull from the street department. And it's usually the same person, but it comes from the street department budget. We're looking at having 3 full-time forestry people for next year.
You said 3?
3 full-time, yep. We may still pull 1 from street when we need to, but yeah, we're asking for 1 additional, we're gonna have 1 additional forestry person on the crew.
So this budget is for 3.
Yes.
It went down. Okay.
Alrighty.
Perfect.
Alrighty, next budget is traffic engineering. This one's pretty small. This is equipment repair and supplies for various, most of the time we're spending it on traffic signals. So in this particular case, we're budgeting about $50,000 more than normal to replace the crossing signal at Burchard and Empire. I don't know if everybody's noticed, but that the walk signal has been blinking for quite a while, maybe more than a year, and we'd like to budget to get that replaced. And then also the just the normal expenses we have for supplies and equipment. So when we replace when we burned out signals, or if we have to replace a motherboard or whatever, that's what this supplies and equipment is for. So any questions on traffic engineering?
No. Continue on.
They're pretty expensive signals. Anyway. Okay, next budget is streetlights. As you can see here, there's no new changes to the streetlight budget. I feel that we have sufficient funds budgeted for any type of replacements and things that we need to do. Generally, these would be replacing Cobra head fixtures. When I say Cobra head fixtures, those are the street light fixtures that attach to the top of the pole that overhang the streets. We've been slowly replacing the, a few years ago we did a large project where we replaced all the downtown lights, where we got rid of the sodium halide or the metal halide light fixtures that use a lot of electricity, and we replaced them with 140 watt LEDs, which really brighten things up downtown. We just use this budget to replace the other city-owned street lights throughout the town. So that's what this budget is. Any questions on this?
I have one. So if we're replacing the lights and we're going to lower energy, higher efficiency lights, why does the electrical expense remain flat?
Well, actually, it's gone down. So in 2022, you can see we budgeted 240,000, and it turned out to be 211,000. So that's where you saw your savings there.
Okay.
And then, in 2023, we budgeted 225, not knowing how much it was going to go down. And, we're over halfway, and we haven't used, we're doing pretty well there. So it's not a tremendous amount in terms of power savings, but it is something, and it does result in a better, safer downtown.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on streetlights?
Alderman Sellers.
Yep. Just want to ask, have we looked at any other way of maybe doing a savings in solar or in, have we looked
Well,
into that, or?
Yes, the LEDs are a huge savings over the existing ones. So that's a savings over a period of time. As far as solar streetlights, I'm not aware of a product that is going to be able to just replace an existing Cobra head over a street light that's completely powered by solar, because you'd need batteries and this and that, various other appendages to do that. But we are always open to that idea. Okay.
Are we gonna,
Yes.
are we gonna look into using LED lights in more places?
Yeah, absolutely.
The downtown?
Every time we have a problem with a metal halide or a sodium halide street light, we're looking to replace those. ComEd's had some really fantastic grant opportunities that we've taken advantage of. That's how we did the downtown lights. That was like a $200,000 project that was basically free. It was under the ComEd Distressed Communities grant. So what we like to do is we like to package up a whole package of different locations that need LED conversion, and then go to see if ComEd wants to give us some additional funds to help that. They have, we're looking at a couple right now for the parking lots that still have the old style lights. They're not as much, the grant funds aren't quite as much as what we've received in the past, but there's like a 50-50 grant match for that, so we do pursue that when we do a larger project, so. Okay, any other questions on streetlights? Okay.
None.
All right, moving on to animal control. This one's pretty standard. No major changes. We did have a furnace went out in the animal control building this year, which was fairly expensive, but we don't anticipate that in 2024. So most of the time, this is wages, any kind of associated costs with equipment, and that could be snares, that could be traps. Every so often, we upgrade those. Also in the animal control building, we have like a water system for the dogs, and you know, they can hit the there's like a cork they can hit, and the water dispenses into the bowl. So those have all been replaced recently. However, every so often those have to be replaced, but we're looking pretty good for animal control. Any questions on animal control?
Yeah, I do. Is that a typo on workman's comp? If last year was 4,000 and this year is 600, 650?
I'm going to defer to Michelle on that one. Michelle?
I'm guessing it was a budget error when we budgeted back last year. That's all, yeah. Yeah, that's a glaring difference.
I have,
Oh,
Alderwoman Sellers.
the screen.
Oh. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yes.
oh, how many workers is this in, for animal control?
One.
So we have, how often do they have to get their upkeep of the license?
I think it's every 3 years.
So only one person has the license, right?
Yes. Animal control is a hard department to fill generally. Most people don't want to be called out. They don't want to do it after hours. So we're real fortunate to have the one gentleman we do have who does a great job for us.
Right, and I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying, I know that there was some reason why he was out for a while, so that hurt a lot of trapping or whatever. Do you think it's possible that we could add something to have more than one person able to trap or anything? I think that's kind of, you know, not good to just have one person responsible for that type of job and was out for that long of a time.
Yep. That's a great idea, and we will definitely, we actually had two, but one of them took a job for higher pay, so we lost him. So we can definitely be working on that, and that's something we can do. Okay, any other questions on animal control?
good.
Okay, hearing none. All right, we're going to discuss human resources. So as mentioned, so in general, things are pretty well staying the same there. There are a few changes. I'd like to draw your attention to 6490. That would be the increase in insurance required for the 9 new firefighters that we're planning to get through the SAFER grant. That accounts for that increase, and then other technical services increase. We've seen an increase in background check fees, so that's kind of gone up. So we're budgeting for more there, and then also recruitment and advertising. You know, we basically use ads on Indeed, ILCMA, IML when necessary. So we're looking for a little increase on that. All right, any questions on human resources?
Carry on.
Okay,
Year-to-date activity.
yes. Which
is
item?
0. for advertisement.
Oh,
Michelle, would you like to handle it?
So the ones that we do with Indeed are free, unless we bump it up. There's a way that you pay more to, I believe it's like reach even more people, reach specialized people, and that costs money. Or some of these other ones that Rob mentioned, the IML and stuff like that, they'll
Yep.
charge us a fee as well, but we just have not used those this year. Or at least the fee has not caught up with, as of this, the date this report was run.
Okay, because we budgeted 4,000, but we haven't used.
Correct. It's kind of an unpredictable expense on whether you want to bump it up or what staff we've lost that we need to fill.
So how do you determine if you just use Indeed or when you go above?
It's between the HR director and I believe the city manager.
It is a case-by-case decision.
Basically, what you pay for with Indeed is you pay to boost where it shows up in the search list, as well as you can boost to a more targeted audience, because typically what Indeed will do, will just put all the jobs there. So if you search sales, it'll put, somebody that works at Walmart. It could also have a car sales position or a VP of sales. So it's those types of things, and you can actually hone in on a better skill set, and you get better applicants in that sense sometimes too. But if you're not having a trouble hiring somebody, you basically just keep putting it out there for free until you need to really get somebody in, especially if they're a targeted, special skill set type of person.
But it's like, even for the director position, the 3 or 4 people that applied weren't qualified so since we had this money out there, why didn't we go in deeper to find someone qualified or someone that could give us what we really need?
I think the search that was performed was definitely, it was adequate for what we're looking for. We also hired a police chief, and there was no posting or bumping on that particular item either. So it was just one of those electives that, we just didn't think there'd be any return on investment there.
excuse me.
Alderman Sellers.
Yes. I mean, you just said that we used it with hiring a police chief. Well, he was
No,
here.
no, we did not use it.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
you said
no,
we used
council
it.
did not want to use it.
Oh, okay. We did not use it.
No.
To use find a okay. Thank you.
Alderman Stacy.
What have we used it on?
Michelle, you, off the top of your head?
Tell from
We'll have to look that up. As you can see over the years, it's variable.
Can we come back to this after is it okay if we get back, or if they come back to us later?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I can find it without actually going back to the files. I have that we paid Indeed last year for, 1, 2, 3, 4 different things, but there's a couple reversals in here. One thing we paid Indeed for, but I don't have the listing of exactly what the job was.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. If that's okay then, I'd like to move on to MIS.
Yes. Ms. Simmons.
Yes, ma'am.
That I was hoping we would get at is if we're in dire need for a director for the water department, and we have the budget, and we were so lucky to have our police chief already here, why not use part of that budget for what it's there for what we need, which is to get more qualified applicants for that position? That's my question.
Well, to answer your question, generally speaking, utility directors make over $120,000 a year. our pay scale is about 95. And that's usually in markets where there are qualified people in the market. So two of the requirements of that job description was a Class A or a Class B water license and a Class 1 wastewater and a 4-year degree. I believe there's about 65 people in the state of Illinois that represent that qualification. And that is precisely why we needed to change that, because the qualified people are retired out, because at one point in time it was a lot easier to get those licenses. And then you throw a bachelor's degree on top of it, it gets to be a very big challenge to fill. That is why.
Go ahead, Ms. Simmons.
So we didn't use the advertising funds to advertise because you felt like it was pointless. You don't think it's enough qualified applicants?
This job was posted on the Illinois section of the American Water Works Association. It was posted at various other industry-related job sites. So it was out there. So it was among the people that would do that work. Any other questions?
Do you have a question, or? Yes.
I do, but I'm trying to understand, I'm sorry, can I?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm trying to understand what Alderperson Simmons was saying. If we have the money and we can up it, only people from Illinois can apply? I mean, people from other states that might want to move? I mean, is that?
Well, the job description of the Director of Utility Operations is very specific. It requires an Illinois Class A or B drinking water license and a Class 1 wastewater license and a 4-year degree. So if you live in another state, it's highly unlikely you're going to have either Class 1 or Class A or B water license because they're Illinois-specific licenses. Not to say that doesn't exist. However, this made penetration on websites, job sites, that specifically market to water and wastewater professionals in the industry, in Illinois and other ways, okay? So, and it is a well-known issue within the industry right now, is there is a massive shortage of qualified operators in general. But yes, those sites had it on there. As a matter of fact, just recently, the utility superintendent position that was posted I saw it personally on the ILCMA, or on the, ISAWWA job website. And people that are searching for those positions know where to look. It's usually trade organizations that have that information. It's a little more specific than, say, a salesperson or a mechanic. It's a very specific skill set that you're looking for.
Madam Clerk, did you take note of when Alderman Sanders came?
It was 5:37.
Thank you, got it.
So are you saying that people are applying for it, that superintendent?
I have not seen any applications besides one. We've had one applicant,
And that's the local one?
yes.
Well,
Okay.
that was changed on that application to make it easier to get, where you didn't have to have license and you didn't even have to have a high school diploma. So I don't understand if it's out there like that.
You do have to have a high school diploma, but I will say that there is a shortage of labor out there, folks. I mean, I think we all know this. The baby boomers, the largest generation in history, is just finishing retiring right now, and the smallest generation in history is right behind them. Everybody I talk to and everybody I know is having a similar issue. However, this is a budget meeting, and if we could, I'd like to just kind of stick to the budget items.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't.
Good. Please carry on.
Okay. All right, moving on to MIS. So essentially what this is this is part of Kurt's budget. This is some of the products and services that we use for our computers and software. In this particular case, we're looking for one additional staff lower level staff to help with various items that they take care of in IT. One of the items that we have to get done here is the MIU program. That's the Meter Interface Unit program. We've been struggling to get anybody, temp workers or otherwise, in-house to help with that change out. We've offered overtime opportunities to our existing staff, some of which have taken us up on it, but we're still behind, and we really need to budget for an additional person to help us get through that change out. So when I say meter interface unit, I'm talking about the radio computer that talks to the bill collecting network that feeds back to the billing office. We've got, I think, about half of them or not half, but about a quarter of them currently deployed, and we got another 3/4 of them that need to be put into place. They are replacing the existing MIUs that the batteries are going dead slowly but surely, and we're losing something like 6 or 7 of these meter interface units per week. So we really need to get serious about this, get somebody in here and get those taken care of. In addition, there was a significant reduction in computer network code 6135. That went down from 26,000 to 8,000. And we also had some other telephone communications items go down. As you can see there, 6755 went from 183,000 to 167,000. And item 7016, computer hardware, also went down from 86,000 to 65,000. So just an excellent job on containing costs and innovating, making sure that we are controlling our costs while we're able to continue to do the same job. So, any questions on that?
Alderman Stacy.
What is 6755?
So I believe this one is, so this is the phone system. We went from, I believe it was Panasonic, and we went to the Mitel system, and there was some significant savings involved in that changeover.
Any other questions, comments? Carry on, please, sir.
All right, I'd like to move on to cemetery. Just a little background. Obviously, the city has a fairly large cemetery. I believe it's on the order of about 26 acres. We do all of the placing of the headstones, the grave excavations. We do minor repairs, and then, of course, all the mowing and trimming, which is somewhat substantial. In this year, it's pretty much the same. Nothing, not a whole lot's changed. However, we are budgeting for an additional zero-turn mower on item 7010, which is machinery and equipment. So last year, the city mowing crew took over all the nuisance properties and all of the complaint properties for mowing. In doing so, we saved about $20,000, and we used approximately 18,000 of that for a new zero-turn Ferris mower. It's got its advantages, but one of its primary features is it has suspension on the seat and on the deck that helps with comfort and less difficulty for the operator, less pain for the operator. So we'd like to continue to turn out all of our, or turn out an additional older piece of equipment and replace it with something similar to what we received last year. So, any questions on the cemetery?
So we use the older piece of equipment for just regular lawn mowing around the city, and then the newer one goes to the cemetery?
Yes, that's absolutely right. So we had rolled out, we had a John Deere zero-turn that we were able to use for nuisance property mowing. That not only is a perfect use for it, because a lot of times in nuisance properties you have things thrown in the grass. You don't know if there's a 2x4 or a rock in there. You just go and you mow it, and it can be very hard on equipment. So we don't want to stick our best equipment out there and have it beat up out there doing nuisance properties. However, it did speed us up quite a bit as well. Before we used like a tractor-style mower with a deck and just it's like, you know, engine up front, you know, and those are a little slower and they don't turn quite as easily. They don't trim quite as nicely. Once we got the John Deere out there on doing nuisance properties, we were able to get a lot more done. So it was kind of a benefit too.
Alderperson Stacy.
I'm told that in the past, the city always took care of, veterans, graves for the veterans. Do we still do that
At the city cemetery, we do, yeah.
at the city cemetery? Is that in here
Yes.
under,
Well, when you say take care of them, we're taking care of all of them, but I think you're referring to one thing, which is like a chemical treatment of the headstones to make them white.
no, where you used to purchase graves, and if a veteran passed, they were given a grave?
Yes, we still do that. And I'm going to have to defer to Debbie on this one. Debbie?
In designated aisles.
Yeah, yeah.
Two
So there's
designated
designated
aisles.
aisles that are there. It's not a
Yeah,
specific.
if they
budget.
elect to be buried elsewhere, then they pay.
Okay, because a young lady, a veteran that passed this summer, at that time, there was one, maybe two graves left, so.
Okay. Well, I'll have to take a look at that. I was unaware of that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Okay, any other questions on cemetery?
Yes, if I could.
Yes, Alderman Clem.
One thing to add to that too, I've been involved in some with being with the VFW and stuff. There is, the grave is free, but there's an opening charge depending on if it's a casket or if the person is cremated and stuff. So there are some charges on it, but they're minor charges. And I know years ago, they laid out a whole section for that. And hopefully, I'm sure it'll be carried on.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the last item, which is cemetery care fund. This is a trust fund, basically, that accrues interest, and once it accrues a certain amount, then we can spend the interest on things related to the cemetery. As you can see here, we've got, it's accruing to, looks like we'll have another $6,000 of income this year, and there's really no major changes. We can, down the road, look at using this for maintenance and items at the cemetery. So, and that concludes tonight's budget discussion.
Alderman Clem.
Just a question, if I could, City Manager, on this trust fund or the accruing fund there.
Yes.
Now, last week or 2 weeks ago, when we voted to put the roofs on those mausoleums, does that come out of this, or does that come out of the other?
We have money budgeted for the roofs, that's not coming out of this, but it could be a source. It could be a funding source for the roofs.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 7 tonight is the budget discussion. We've opened up from the previous discussion. Does anybody have any comments? Not. Alderman Sellers.
Yes, just want to know, are we just wanting to discuss what we talked right here?
Yes.
Okay, then, no, I don't have any.
Since there are no questions, comments, we'll move on to item number 8, which is public comments on any agenda or non-agenda item for the Finance Committee of the Whole. Are there any? Not seeing any, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned.